I tried not to stare until she smiled and said, "Your thoughts are very loud, human." The silence hit Damon Cross the moment he stepped off the transport. Thousands of beings moved through Zenith Station's docking bay. Gray-skinned Centauri with elongated skulls, insectoid cleath clicking across polished floors, massive Vorath whose bulk required reinforced walkways, but nobody spoke. Just the mechanical hiss of atmosphere processors and his own breathing. He'd read the briefings, knew that 97% of species in the galactic collective were telepathic. Knowing didn't prepare him for how wrong it felt. Don't think about it, just get through customs, find your quarters, start the job. His thoughts spiraled anyway, cataloging exits, counting aliens, calculating the odds that 3 months on Zenith Station wouldn't be a complete disaster. The custom scanner blinked green. A Centauri official gestured him through without a word. "Mr. Cross?" Actual vocal cords forming actual words, he turned too quickly. She stood 3 meters away and his brain short-circuited. Blue. Her skin was the deep blue of Earth's oceans, luminous under the station's lighting. Dark hair cascaded past her shoulders, revealing the subtle points of her ears. High cheekbones, full lips, eyes almost human except for pupils that reflected light like a cat's. Holy shit. Her expression shifted. Something that might have been amusement flickered across features that had been perfectly neutral. "I am Vesper," she said, moving closer with a dancer's grace. "I will be your liaison during your time on Zenith Station." Damon forced his jaw to work. "Liaison, right, great." Smooth, very professional, definitely not staring. "Your quarters are in the human sector, level 7, Vesper continued, her voice musical and precise. "I will show you to engineering after you have settled in." She turned, expecting him to follow. He did, trying desperately to think about station schematics, engineering protocols, literally anything except the way she moved. It didn't work. The station's main concourse stretched before them like a cathedral of chrome and glass. More aliens moved past in eerie silence. Not threats. Colleagues, except most of them probably think humans are barely sentient. "Your thoughts are very loud, human." Vesper had stopped walking. She stood facing him now, close enough that he caught a scent like ozone and something floral. "What?" "Your thoughts," she repeated. "They are quite loud." Heat flooded his face. "You can hear what I'm thinking?" "Not precisely." She stepped closer and his pulse kicked up. "Your species generates significant mental activity, but it lacks coherent structure. To us, it sounds like noise." Noise. Yes, most telepaths filter it out, background static. Her head tilted, "But yours is particularly energetic." Oh God, what did she hear? "I did not mean to cause you distress," Vesper said, her tone softening. "Human neural patterns are unfamiliar. I am assigned to study them as part of the integration initiative." "Study them, right," Damon breathed slowly. "So you're basically my handler?" "I prefer liaison. But you're reporting on whether humans are too mentally unstable to work here." She didn't deny it. "The collective has concerns," she said carefully. "Your psychological profile is unprecedented." "Because we can't read minds." "Because you experience consciousness as isolation." Vesper resumed walking. "For telepathic species, thought is inherently shared. Humans are alone inside your own minds." The way she said it, clinical, matter-of-fact, shouldn't have stung. They rode a lift in silence. When the doors opened on level 7, Vesper guided him to quarters that felt too sterile, too perfect. "You will report to engineering in 2 hours, Vesper said from the doorway. "I will return to escort you." "I can find my own way." Station protocol requires liaisons to accompany human personnel during the probationary period. Probationary, because we're the problem. Vesper's expression flickered. Before he could analyze it, she turned to leave. "Vesper?" She paused. "The noise thing," Damon said. "My thoughts. Is it going to be a problem?" She faced him fully, something unreadable moving behind her eyes. "I do not yet know," she said. "Your neural activity is quite unlike anything in our databases, but I find it." She trailed off. "I will see you in 2 hours, Mr. Cross." 2 hours later, Vesper led him into the engineering bay. The space was massive, filled with equipment that hummed at frequencies he felt in his bones. Alien technicians moved among the machinery with eerie coordination. The station's primary systems operate on thought frequency interfaces, Vesper explained. Telepathic species interact directly through neural induction. And humans? You will use the manual interface. She indicated a panel with actual physical controls. It is slower but functional. What followed was intense instruction. Vesper's teaching style was efficient, almost ruthless. She demonstrated each procedure once, expected him to absorb it, moved on. The problem was the proximity, her standing behind him to guide his hands over unfamiliar controls, her voice in his ear explaining systems he could barely comprehend. Focus, stop thinking about how close she is. The console flared, warning lights blazed. Every technician in the bay turned as one, their faces reflecting shock. What did I do? Damon demanded. Vesper's hand was on his shoulder, pulling him back. The system experienced a surge, she said, an edge in her voice. Power distribution spiked across this entire section. I didn't touch anything critical. It was not your actions. She was looking at him differently now, something sharper. It was your neural output. Around them, the other technicians backed away. Executor Thalon, a Centauri with age-silvered skin and cold authority, approached. Explain, Talon said. The word resonated directly in Damon's mind, violating. The human's emotional spike created a feedback loop with the machinery, Vesper said quickly. Human emotional frequencies are incompatible with station systems, Thalon interrupted, his mental voice ice. This is precisely the concern the Council raised. Your presence endangers every being on this station. The Council will hear of this. He left. The other technicians followed. Damon and Vesper stood alone among the humming machines. What the hell just happened? Damon asked. Vesper's jaw was tight. Your emotions generate energy signatures that our technology can detect, she said. When you experienced elevated neural activity, the system responded. Elevated neural activity. You mean when I was... He stopped. Heat flooded his face. You mean the equipment can sense what I'm feeling? She met his eyes. Something in her expression had shifted, barriers dropping. Yes, she said, and Mr. Cross, your feelings at that moment were very, very loud. The emergency council session convened 6 hours after the incident. Damon stood in the observation gallery above the council chamber, watching through transparent aluminum as Executor Thalon addressed the assembled representatives. Vesper stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. They're discussing whether to send me home, Damon said. They are discussing protocol, Vesper corrected, but her voice lacked conviction. Below, Thalon's mental voice resonated through the chamber. Danger, incompatible, risk assessment failure. He's not wrong, Damon said. I broke equipment just by standing near it. You did not break anything. The surge was minor. This time, Vesper turned to face him. This close, he could see faint patterns in her blue skin, like circuit traces beneath the surface. I vouched for you, she said. I told the council that I could monitor your neural output, act as a buffer between your emissions and station systems. Why would you do that? The question caught her off guard, her lips parted, closed. Because sending you away solves nothing, she said. If humans cannot integrate here, integration will fail everywhere. That's the official reason. Her pupils dilated. What other reason would there be? Before he could answer, the chamber doors opened. Thalon emerged. The council has reached a decision, he said, his mental voice directed at Damon. You will remain under probationary status. Vesper will maintain constant proximity to shield station systems from your neural interference. Any further incidents will result in immediate termination of the Human Integration Initiative. Understood, Damon said. Thalon's dark eyes shifted to Vesper. Prolonged exposure to human neural patterns may have unforeseen consequences. I am aware of the risks, Vesper replied. Thalon studied her for a long moment, then left. Exhaled slowly. Constant proximity, he said. That's going to make things interesting. It is necessary, Vesper said, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. The next 3 days established a routine that was equal parts professional and torturous. Vesper shadowed him during every shift, standing close enough to intercept his emotional broadcasts before they could affect the machinery. It worked. No more surges. But the proximity was killing him. He'd catch himself noticing details, the way she tilted her head when processing information, how her fingers moved across control interfaces with dancer's precision, the subtle shift in her scent when she stood particularly close, like ozone giving way to something warmer. And she was always close. "You are doing it again," Vesper said without looking up from the diagnostic panel they were reviewing. "Doing what?" Thinking loudly. Heat crept up his neck. Can't exactly turn it off. "No," she agreed, "but your neural activity increases significantly when you focus on certain subjects." Certain subjects. Yes. She still wouldn't look at him. "What subjects would those be?" he asked. Vesper's fingers stilled on the panel. For 3 heartbeats she didn't move. Then she turned, and the look in her eyes made his breath catch. "You know precisely what subjects, Mr. Cross." The air between them felt charged. "Damon," he said. "You can call me Damon." "That would be inappropriate." "Why, because I'm human?" "Because I am supposed to maintain professional objectivity." She stepped closer. "Because the Council is watching for any indication that human influence is affecting telepathic personnel." "Is it affecting you?" Her jaw tightened. She opened her mouth to respond, but Specialist Briggs materialized at Damon's elbow. "Cross, we've got a coolant flow issue in the lower decks," Briggs said. "Nothing critical, but we should check it out." Damon forced himself to look away from Vesper. "Yeah, okay. I will accompany you," Vesper said. "It's just routine maintenance," Damon said. "Do you really need to—" "Constant proximity," she interrupted. "Council mandate." The lower decks were quieter, less trafficked. The coolant flow issue turned out to be a simple valve calibration. 15 minutes, and Briggs had it sorted. "See? Easy fix," Briggs said. "You two good down here? I've got to check the atmospheric processors on level 3. "We're fine," Damon said. Briggs left, and suddenly the corridor felt much smaller. Vesper stood near the viewport, looking out at the star field beyond the station's bulk. "You should not have sent him away," she said quietly. "He had other work." "That is not why you sent him away." Damon moved to stand beside her. "No," he admitted, "it's not." She turned to face him. This close, he could see the subtle rise and fall of her breathing. "This is unwise," she said. "Probably. The Council would see it as proof that humans are a destabilizing influence." "Would they be wrong?" Something flickered across her face, not quite emotion, but something adjacent. Want, maybe. Need. "I do not know," she said. "I have never experienced anything like this before." "Like what?" "This pulling. When I am near you, my neural patterns change. I find myself seeking reasons to remain in proximity beyond what the Council mandate requires. I think about you during my rest periods." Her honesty was devastating. "That sounds like—" "I know what it sounds like," she interrupted, "but my species does not experience emotion. We evolved past such inefficiencies millennia ago. What I am experiencing must be something else." "Or maybe," Damon said carefully, "your species didn't evolve past emotion. Maybe you just forgot how to feel it." Her pupils dilated. "That is not possible." "Isn't it? You said human consciousness is unprecedented. What if that chaos is just what emotion looks like from the outside?" "I would know if I were experiencing emotion." "Would you?" She stared at him. Then, slowly, deliberately, she reached up and placed her palm against his chest. The contact sent electricity through him. "Your cardiac rhythm has increased," she observed. "Respiration elevated, skin temperature rising. These are physiological responses to emotional stimuli." "Yes, I am experiencing similar changes," she said, her voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "My people would call it neural feedback from proximity to your broadcasts. But it feels like—" "Like what?" Her hand slid up his chest, fingers spreading across his collarbone. "Like I want," she said, "like I need. Like there is something incomplete in me that your presence begins to fill." Damon's hand came up to cover hers. The station lurched. A deep, resonating groan echoed through the deck plates. Emergency lighting flickered to life as the main illumination died. Vesper's hand fell away from his chest. her head tilted, listening to something he couldn't hear. "The primary systems are failing," she said. "Station-wide alert. All personnel to emergency stations." "What happened?" "I do not know, but we need to move now." They ran. The engineering bay was chaos. Not the vocal, shouting chaos Damon was used to, but something worse. Hundreds of telepaths moving in frantic silence, their coordinated efficiency shattered. Warning lights painted everything red. "Status report," Vesper demanded as they entered. A Centauri technician turned, his movements jerky with something that might have been panic. "Primary power core is losing stability," he projected. "We are attempting to compensate, but the systems are not responding to standard neural interface protocols." "Show me," Vesper said. They moved to the central console. Damon followed, his mind racing through everything he'd learned about the station's architecture. The display showed power fluctuations cascading through multiple systems. Life support, artificial gravity, atmospheric processing, everything flickering toward critical failure. "How long?" Damon asked. 6 hours, the technician said, perhaps less. Executor Thalen materialized beside them, his mental voice cutting through the noise. "This was sabotage," he said. "Someone accessed the core systems and introduced a recursive failure cascade. By the time we detected it, the damage was already spreading." "Can you reverse it?" Vesper asked. "We are trying. But the saboteur was sophisticated. They knew our systems intimately." Damon studied the readouts. Something about the failure pattern nagged at him. Too elegant, too precise. "This isn't random damage," he said. "Look at the cascade timing. It's targeting specific subsystems in sequence." Thalen's attention focused on him. Whoever did this knew exactly which systems to hit to cause maximum disruption while avoiding immediate catastrophic failure. They wanted time. Time for something. For what purpose? Before Damon could answer, Ambassador Winters strode into the bay, 2 human security personnel flanking her. She moved like someone used to command, her gray hair pulled back severely, her suit immaculate despite the emergency. "Mr. Cross," she said, "I need you to come with me. We're evacuating human personnel to the transport ships." "I'm not leaving," Damon said. Winters' expression hardened. "That wasn't a request. The Council has authorized full evacuation. This station is lost." "No," Vesper said. The word came out sharp, almost violent. "We can still save it." "The telepathic species have been trying for 2 hours," Winters said. "If they can't fix it, what makes you think?" "Because they are missing something," Vesper interrupted. She turned to Damon, and the intensity in her eyes made his breath catch. "The system architecture. You said it seemed incomplete when I first showed you, that human manual interfaces were an afterthought." "Yeah, so? What if they were not an afterthought? What if they were original design?" Damon's mind raced. He pulled up the station's technical specifications, scrolling through architectural documents he'd reviewed days ago. There, buried in the historical data. "The station is over 3,000 years old," he said slowly, "built by a precursor species. The collective found it abandoned and retrofitted it for telepathic interface." "Yes," Vesper said, "but what if the original builders were not purely telepathic?" The implications hit him like a physical blow. "You think they had emotional capability?" "I think," Vesper said, "that the technology requires both logical thought frequency and emotional energy signatures to function at full capacity. Modern telepathic species only provide half the equation." Thalen's mental voice was ice. "That is speculation without evidence." "Is it?" Vesper turned to face him. "Human emotional frequencies interact with our technology in ways we cannot explain. They should not affect our systems at all, yet they do. What if that is because the systems were designed to incorporate emotional input?" "Then why did the station function for millennia without it?" Winters demanded. "It functioned," Damon said. "But did it function optimally? Every system I've looked at runs at roughly 60% efficiency. I thought it was degradation from age, but what if it's degradation from incomplete input?" Silence. Around them, technicians had stopped working, listening. "Even if you are correct," Thalen said finally, "it does not help us now. The sabotage is spreading. Without access to the core systems, theoretical discussions are irrelevant." Then give me access, Damon said. You cannot interface with the core. You lack telepathic capability. But I have emotional capability, and Vesper can provide the telepathic component. Vesper understood immediately. Her pupils dilated. A merged interface, she said. My telepathic precision guiding your emotional output directly into the core systems. It has never been attempted, Thalen said. Because no telepathic species has emotions to merge with, Vesper countered. But I have been exposed to Damon's neural patterns for days. I am already experiencing what my people would classify as emotional contamination. You are experiencing neural feedback, Thalen corrected. Does it matter what we call it? Vesper's voice carried an edge Damon had never heard before. The station is dying. We have one theoretical solution. What do we have to lose by attempting it? Thalen looked between them. Calculation moved behind his dark eyes. If you fail, he said, you will likely both die. The core's energy output during a merge is substantial. Without proper shielding, without the ability to disconnect if something goes wrong. I understand the risks, Vesper said. Do you understand that this could be exactly what the saboteur wants? Winters interjected. To force humanity into a desperate play that fails publicly and destroys what little credibility we have left? Or, Damon said, the saboteur wants us to evacuate, wants this station destroyed so no one discovers that humanity isn't just compatible with galactic society, we're essential to it. Winters stared at him. That's a hell of a gamble, Mr. Cross. Yeah, he agreed, it is. Vesper stepped closer to him, close enough that he felt the warmth of her. I trust him, she said, and the words were for Thalen, for Winters, for everyone listening. More than logic suggests I should, more than is rational, but I trust him. Something in Damon's chest constricted. We need to move fast, he said. Where's the core interface? Lower deck, Section 9, Thalen said. His mental voice carried resignation. I will authorize access, but understand this. If you fail, if this makes things worse, the Council will have proof that human integration is not merely inadvisable, but actively dangerous. And if we succeed, Vesper asked. Then perhaps, Thalen said slowly, we will have proof that we have been incomplete for longer than we realized. The core chamber was massive, cathedral-like in its proportions. At the center, a sphere of contained energy pulsed with sickly, irregular rhythm. Around it, interface stations stood dormant, their controls dark. Damon and Vesper approached the main console. Behind them, Thalen, Winters, and a handful of technicians watched from the observation gallery. How does this work? Damon asked. We establish a telepathic link, Vesper said. Her voice was steady, but he could see tension in the line of her shoulders. Then I guide your consciousness into the core systems while channeling your emotional frequencies through my neural pathways. In theory, the combination will allow us to access and repair the sabotaged code. In theory. Yes. What happens if it doesn't work? She met his eyes. Then we die and the station dies with us. Right, no pressure. Vesper's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Are you afraid? She asked. Terrified. Good, fear is an emotion, use it. She raised her hands to his temples. Her touch was cool, gentle. I need you to stop fighting your thoughts, she said. Stop trying to control them. Let everything you feel come to the surface. Trust me to guide it. Yes? There were 1,000 things he wanted to say. They had minutes, maybe less. After this, he said, if we survive, I know, she whispered. I want it too. Now stop thinking and start feeling. Her fingers pressed against his temples and the world dissolved into light. The connection was like nothing Damon had ever experienced. Vesper's consciousness merged with his, her thoughts flowing into him like cool water, while his emotions crashed through her with the force of a storm. For a heartbeat, they were one being, experiencing existence from two radically different perspectives simultaneously. Then the core systems pulled them in. Information flooded through them, terabytes of data, centuries of operational logs, the intricate web of code that kept the station alive. But underneath it all, like a cancer spreading through healthy tissue, the sabotage code writhed and replicated. There, Vesper's thought voice said in his mind, perfectly clear now, Do you see it? He saw. The malicious code was elegant, beautiful even. It mimicked the station's own protocols so closely that the telepathic technicians had mistaken it for legitimate systems failing naturally. It's missing something, Damon said. Whoever wrote this only understood half of how the station works. Because they were telepathic, Vesper said. They could not account for the emotional component. Together, they pushed deeper into the code. Damon's emotional energy flowed through Vesper's telepathic precision, and suddenly he understood. The station was a living system, designed to respond to the full spectrum of consciousness, logic and emotion intertwined. We need to fill the gap, he said. Replace what's missing. How? Feel what I feel, channel it into the code. He stopped trying to control his emotions. Let everything pour through their connection. Fear for the thousands of beings on the station, anger at whoever had tried to destroy it, determination to prove that humanity belonged here. And underneath it all, what he felt for her. Vesper gasped, her physical body convulsing in the core chamber, even as their merged consciousness remained focused. She'd experienced echoes of his emotions before. This was different. This was drowning in sensation she'd never been designed to feel. Too much, she managed. I cannot. Yes, you can, he said. You're already feeling it. Stop fighting. Just feel. For a moment he thought she'd pull away. Then something in her consciousness shifted, opened. An emotion flooded through her like a dam breaking. Wonder, curiosity, the ache of loneliness she'd never had words for until now, fear of losing herself, and yes, desire, want, the magnetic pull that had drawn her to him from the moment they met. The core systems responded. Energy surged through the chamber. The sickly pulse steadied, strengthened. Around them, dormant systems flickered to life. The sabotage code withered under the combined assault of logic and emotion. But the interface was fighting them, trying to draw more energy than their bodies could sustain. Pain lanced through their connection. Damon felt his physical body seizing. Beside him, Vesper's breathing had gone ragged. Blood trickled from her nose. We need to disconnect, she said weakly. Not yet, we're almost through. Dying? I know. He pushed harder, drawing on reserves he didn't know he possessed. The sabotage code was retreating, collapsing, just a little further. The core chamber doors burst open. Executor Thalen strode in, 3 technicians behind him. Instead of pulling them away, Thalen moved to an adjacent console. We are linking the secondary telepaths to your consciousness stream. His mental voice cut through their connection. If you can provide the emotional frequency, we can amplify your telepathic reach. What? Vesper began. You were correct, Thalen said. The station requires both components. We cannot provide emotion, but we can provide additional telepathic precision. One by one, the technicians linked into the network. Damon felt their consciousness brush against his, alien, vast, but incomplete. They needed him as much as he needed them. The sabotage code shattered. Systems stabilized across the station. Power flowed clean and strong. The core's pulse steadied into a rhythm that resonated like a heartbeat. Then the interface released them. Damon collapsed. His knees hit the deck hard. Beside him, Vesper crumpled. He caught her instinctively, pulling her against him as the world spun. Easy, he managed. I've got you. Her hand clutched his arm, fingers digging in with surprising strength. When she looked up at him, her eyes were wide, pupils blown. I can still feel you, she whispered. Inside my mind, your emotions, they are not fading. Is that bad? I do not know. I have never felt so alive. Around them, technicians checked systems, confirming the repairs. Thalen approached. The station is stable, he said. You succeeded. The saboteur? Damon asked. Liaison Dren, a Cleth operative, Ambassador Winters said, descending from the observation gallery. He fled hours ago. He was attempting to prevent humanity's integration by destroying evidence of our compatibility with precursor technology. Let him run, Thalen said. What matters is what you proved here. This station requires both telepathic logic and emotional capability to function as designed. Humanity is not just compatible with galactic society, Vesper said, her voice stronger now. We are necessary to it. Thalen inclined his head. Perhaps, But there is another matter. He looked at Vesper. Your neural patterns have been permanently altered. You now experience emotion, as humans do. I know, Vesper said. The Council will view this as contamination. Or, Winters interjected, they will view it as evolution, as rediscovering a capability your species lost. Thalen was silent for a long moment. That remains to be seen. For now, you both need medical evaluation. The energy output you endured should have killed you. He was right. Damon's muscles felt like water. But Vesper was warm against him, alive, and the station was saved. Medical cleared them 6 hours later. Exhaustion, some minor neural inflammation, nothing permanent. By then, word had spread throughout the station. The human and the telepath who saved everyone. Damon found Vesper in the observation deck where they'd almost kissed before everything went to hell. She stood at the viewport, watching stars wheel past. How are you feeling? He asked. Overwhelmed, she said. Joy at being alive, fear about what comes next, sadness that my people will see me as damaged, relief that I do not have to pretend anymore. She turned to face him. Is this what it is like for you? All the time? Pretty much. It is exhausting. Yeah. She moved closer. But it is also beautiful. I understand now why your species creates art, music, poetry. You are trying to communicate these internal experiences. We're lonely, Damon said, trapped in our own heads, so we keep trying to reach each other. You are not lonely now. No, I'm not. Her hand found his. The Council will want to study what happened between us, she said. They will want to replicate it, create hybrid teams throughout the station. How do you feel about that? Uncertain, hopeful, afraid that what we have will be reduced to data and protocols. What do we have? He asked. She smiled, and it transformed her face, the first real smile he'd seen from her. I do not have words for it yet, she said. My language was not designed for emotion, but I know what I feel when I am near you, what I felt when we merged, and I know I do not want to lose it. You won't, he promised. She pulled him closer, rising on her toes until their faces were inches apart. Show me, she whispered. He kissed her. Her lips were cool against his, soft and exploratory. She made a sound, surprise and pleasure and wonder all mixed together. Her hands came up to frame his face, fingers sliding into his hair. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, her eyes were bright. That, she said, that's what I want. More of that. I can arrange that. She laughed, the sound startled out of her. Then she kissed him again, deeper this time, less tentative. His hands found her waist, pulling her against him. The universe narrowed to the taste of her, the warmth of her body, the way she fit perfectly in his arms. They'd saved the station, proved humanity's place in the galaxy, changed the course of history. But right now, all that mattered was this. 3 months later, Zenith Station hummed with a vitality it hadn't known in millennia. Systems operated at 90% efficiency instead of 60%. Maintenance cycles extended. Power distribution ran smoother than any telepath could achieve alone. Human telepath teams worked throughout the station now. 12 pairs, carefully selected, cautiously optimistic. Some partnerships were purely professional. Others were becoming something more. Damon stood in the observation deck, watching a supply freighter dock. Behind him, the door opened. He knew who it was before she spoke. Their connection had never fully severed after the merge. You are brooding again, Vesper said, moving beside him. Not brooding, thinking. The distinction is minimal. He smiled. 3 months of experiencing human emotion, and she'd developed a sharp wit. Ambassador Winters wants me to return to Earth, he said. Testify before the Unity Council about the integration program. They're considering expanding human presence throughout collective space. That is good news. She wants me to go alone, says bringing you would complicate the politics. Vesper's hand found his fingers interlacing. She is not wrong, Vesper said. Many humans still fear that telepathic species will use emotional bonding to control them, and many telepaths fear that widespread emotional awakening will destabilize our societies. What do you think? She was quiet for a moment, her thumb tracing circles on his palm. I think fear is always loudest when change begins, she said. I think some partnerships will fail, and some will succeed, and eventually we will find balance. But what we have is worth the discomfort of change. She turned to face him. When do you leave? She asked. Tomorrow. How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Her jaw tightened. I could come with you, she said. You could, but you think I should stay. Damon pulled her closer, his hands settling on her waist. I think you're doing important work here, he said. Training the new telepaths who are choosing to explore emotional capability. If you leave now, they will see it as abandonment, she finished, as proof that emotion makes us unstable. Yeah. She leaned her forehead against his chest. I hate that you are right, she said. I hate that we have to perform our relationship for political observers, that we cannot simply be together without it meaning something larger. I know, but I also know that what we have is not just about us. It is proof, it is hope. He kissed the top of her head. 2 weeks, he said. I'll be back before you know it. 2 weeks is 336 hours. I will know every one of them. The next morning, Damon stood in the docking bay with his travel case. Ambassador Winters was already aboard the transport, along with Specialist Briggs and 2 other engineers. Vesper had insisted she wouldn't come to see him off. Too public. Too much fodder for those who wanted to paint their relationship as proof of corruption. So when he felt that familiar warmth at the edge of his consciousness, then turned to see her striding across the bay, his heart kicked into overdrive. She wore formal collective attire, fitted and elegant, the deep blue fabric nearly matching her skin. Every eye in the bay tracked her movement. I changed my mind, she said when she reached him. Let them watch, let them talk. I am not hiding what I feel. 2 weeks is too long, she interrupted, and I am not saying goodbye in private, pretending this means less than it does. She pulled him into a kiss that was definitely not appropriate for a public docking bay. Her hands fisted in his jacket, her body pressed against his. He could feel her emotions through their connection. Fear and love and defiance all tangled together. When they broke apart, the bay was dead silent. Dozens of beings staring with expressions ranging from shock to something that might have been hope. Come back to me, Vesper whispered. That is not a request. That is a requirement. Yes, ma'am, he managed. She smiled, brushed her fingers across his jaw, then stepped back. The crowd parted as she walked away, her spine straight, her head high. Well, Briggs said, that was subtle. Shut up, Briggs. Earth was both familiar and alien after months on Zenith Station. The noise was overwhelming. Actual voices, conversations, laughter, all happening simultaneously without telepathic coordination. The Unity Council hearing went better than expected. Damon testified about the station's architecture, the proof that precursor species had possessed both telepathic and emotional capabilities. He explained how partnerships were unlocking dormant technology. He showed efficiency reports, safety improvements, innovation metrics. In private sessions, the questions always turned personal. Did he feel controlled? Manipulated? Was the telepathic bond coercive? Every time, his answer was the same. What he felt was seen, known, connected in a way that dissolved the isolation inherent to human consciousness. On the 13th day, Ambassador Winters called him to her office. The council voted, she said. Approved expansion of the integration program. 500 additional human personnel will be assigned to various collective stations over the next year. Relief flooded through him. That's incredible. There's more. Winters pulled up a holographic document. The Collective Council has proposed a formal exchange program. Telepathic species who want to explore emotional capability will spend time embedded with human populations, and humans who want to develop limited telepathic sensitivity through extended partnership will train on collective worlds. They're actually embracing it. Some are, others are still fighting, but the evidence you provided, the work you and Vesper did, it shifted the conversation. Winters deactivated the display. You can return to Zenith Station tomorrow. Tomorrow, not 2 more days of waiting. Thank you, he said. You earned this, Cross. You proved that humanity isn't just capable of integration. We're essential to it. The transport docked at Zenith Station 14 days after he'd left. Damon was through the airlock before the all-clear even sounded. Vesper was waiting in the docking bay. She stood near the viewport, silhouetted against the stars. He crossed the distance between them in seconds. She turned, her face lighting up with pure joy. "You came back," she said. "Of course I came back." "I know, but I still worried." "Not about this," he said. "Never about this." He kissed her, and it felt like coming home. Her arms wrapped around him, her consciousness brushing against his through their connection. Relief, happiness, love, a concept she was still learning to name but felt with absolute clarity. When they finally broke apart, she was smiling. "The council approved the expansion," she said. "We heard the news yesterday. More humans coming, more partnerships. It is really happening." "Yeah," he agreed, "it is." "And us," she asked, "what happens to us?" Damon pulled her closer. "We keep doing what we've been doing. We work. We prove it works. We build something new together." "That is not very romantic." "You want romantic?" He brushed his thumb across her cheekbone. "We're the first, the proof of concept. 100 years from now, they'll tell stories about the engineer and the liaison who saved Zenith Station and taught 2 species how to be whole again." "Better," she said, "but still insufficient." "Then how about this? I love you. I don't care who knows it or what politics it complicates. You're mine and I'm yours and nothing else matters." Her pupils dilated, her breath caught. "That," she whispered, "that is what I needed to hear." She kissed him again, deeper this time, her hands sliding into his hair. Around them, the station hummed with renewed life, a symphony of logic and emotion finally working in harmony. They'd changed the galaxy, redefined what was possible, proved that evolution sometimes meant rediscovering what was lost. But in this moment, wrapped in each other's arms, none of that mattered. They were simply 2 beings who'd found completion in each other, who'd learned that consciousness wasn't meant to be experienced alone. And that was enough.